Hello everyone, welcome to Rajkumar Academy. In this session, I'm going to discuss about 26/8/2022 newspaper. So guys, as usual, please try to keep the papers and also the newspaper with you, and you can underline the things with the help of what you are actually seeing here. But guys, some students were asking for the e-newspaper and all. I would suggest you go for a hard copy. Reading will be much easier until and unless you are from remote areas. So guys, let us quickly begin with the newspaper, where the first issue is about suspense in Jharkhand as CM Soren may face disqualification. Now, this is a very important issue from politics. So in polity, you have a term called as office of profit. Fine. There is a term called office of profit. Now, when we are talking about the office of profit, what is the meaning of this? Whenever a government employee, minister, MLA, MP, anyone, if they do businesses associated with their own systems, organizations, they all come under office of profit. Like for example, I am an MP and I have businesses, and these businesses keep on getting permissions from the government. So all such things may come under office of profit. Now Shibu Soren in Jharkhand, actually he has allocated mining lease to himself while holding portfolio of 2021. So I hope you understand the meaning. So what he has done, when he was minister of mining, so he called for a tender and he has given the tender to his own company, which is a clear indication that he has misused it, and it comes under office of profit, and he may be disqualified. And if he is disqualified, then it will government, like there will be change of chief minister and all. Earlier Sonia Gandhi was disqualified. Many leaders in the country were disqualified over office of profit. So while reading polity topic, try to ensure that you cover office of profit case. Now the next issue is malware found in 5 phones, no proof it's Pegasus. So I just want you people to understand a core concept here, which is associated with what we call as cyber security. So now what exactly is that? Now you people might have started preparing for UPSC recently. So I'm going in depth and telling you about this word Pegasus. So guys, this Pegasus is a malware. Now what it does, you will normally put it in a mobile phone, fine, or this is a virus which will be sent to the mobile phone, and this will try to see, or it will try to tap what all you are actually talking, mailing, chats, everything can be seen. It is an advanced malware technology. Now normally phones get hacked, even my phone got hacked, like phones get hacked, it's a common thing. But why is this an important issue is what we need to see. Now this is actually done by a company which is associated with Israel government. Fine. So this is done by a company which is associated with Israel government. Now, Israel government has given this Pegasus to Indian government. Fine. And remember, Pegasus is not given anywhere to private people. So this is only given to governments. And if anything is given to government, and if that malware is used to tap mobile phones, their talks, their chats, everything, then please understand, whom did they look at it? Rahul Gandhi. Certain cases associated with CJI. So, government tried to use Pegasus malware against these people, is what the opposition claimed. But government was telling there was no misuse of Pegasus. Now Supreme Court interfered in the issue, and Supreme Court has told that in the mobile phones that were actually there was no Pegasus software. That means Pegasus was not misused by the government. So guys, you can use these in cyber security. Definitely there will be a question on cyber security. At that time you have to use these. That's it, guys. Nothing much. As the court case has told that, government is not doing it, it's done. Supreme Court seeks Gujarat's reply. Please understand, Supreme Court is asking government to reply. Tomorrow Gujarat government will reply. After that again something will happen. So it's a constant procedure that keeps on happening. Don't enter into the procedures. See, today judgment I discussed. So that must be good enough. 9 killed not required. After 2 weeks India calls Rushdie attack not required. NDTV promoters not required. See guys, all these issues that you observe here are not so important for us. So then quickly, let's what we call as editorial page. The editorial page is very important, as you saw. So now Biswajit Dhar is actually a professor, and he is talking about freebies. So guys, from 3-4 days continuously you are talking about freebies. In mains there can be a question on freebies for sure, but for this year mains, not for next year mains. So for this year, people have to look at it. I would say, different people try to argue from different perspective. No need to go to that detail and look at it. Fine, you can leave it. But Rainbow of Hope, LGBTQIA plus, right? So what is the meaning of this? LGBT basically means lesbians, gay, bisexual, right? Transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, or of any other orientation. So guys, there are many such categories which are about sexual orientation. Most of the government organizations don't recognize it, but Tamil Nadu government, on the orders of Madras High Court, has brought certain terminologies to mention about these people. For example, if you go to US and other places, normally if you are a guy, right? So we will say he. And then if there is a girl, we call she. And if there is a transgender, you should address them as them. See, him, her, them. Else they feel offensive. So it's a very sensitive issue in United States and all. And in some parts, people tell, like, in one semester or in 1 year, they will be a boy and they get operated and become a girl, right? So you have these changes in Western societies. In Indian society, these people are fighting for recognition. Yes, you are a civil service aspirant, and once you clear civil services, you are going to reach a position where you are going to take care of these people, every person. So you had caste hierarchy, you had religion issues, you have gender issues, and now gender issue doesn't mean only men and women, but you also have to include transgenders into it. So it's very essential for us to look into this issue in detail. So guys, Tamil Nadu is the first government which has brought some terminologies to define these people, even though many people have not accepted it, many people have not welcomed it. I want you to know at least the rights of these people. Clear? So guys, please try to understand what they are trying to. Then the tricolor campaign and the notes from the past, so don't worry about it, not so important. A perilous stalemate. So the meaning of this is, it is talking about Russia and Ukraine war that is actually happening, and Indian government and other governments are actually requesting for talks, right? So that the issue can be resolved slowly. Now, in this, there is a NATO. You will hear it called as NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And guys, NATO, NATO is actually trying to ensure that it is strengthening against Russian attack, especially after Sweden and Finland applied for it. See guys, beside Russia, there are two countries called as Sweden and Finland. So in Atlas, if you can pause for a while, open Europe map and look for Sweden and Finland. Now these two were not part of NATO. NATO means North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And remember, if any country is part of NATO, let us say Sweden is part of NATO, and if anyone tries to attack Sweden, then US will attack them. And all other countries in the NATO will come together and attack them. So it's a very important issue. So as Russia has attacked Ukraine, many countries are joining NATO. So this article is trying to talk about why talks are important and what is happening in Ukraine and Russia. So this specific issue needs to be understood in greater depth. So as of now, in this newspaper, in this article, don't worry about the issue that is actually there. And second important thing, I will try to take certain topics to greater depth in the videos itself, right? So what we can do is, when we try to go in depth, for example, like the LGBT community issue, Ukraine Russia issues and all, so then these issues can be understood in a greater depth. Now, as a layman, the student should understand that India is pushing for talks between Russia and Ukraine. Nothing much. Should India change its policy on the Rohingya? So you have Vivek Kajju, who is a former diplomat, and he was also part of Myanmar. Now let me discuss about this issue little bit in detail. Now this is important because from last 2 to 3 days, the issue is in news and students might have conceptual issues with respect to this. So let me look into it properly. So, guys, before we get into this, I want you to look at the term refugee and migrant. I have two terms, refugee and migrant. Says if any person move out of a country because of fear of persecution, because of fear of persecution, then he is called as refugee. If any person move out of a country because of social reasons, economic reasons, he will be called as migrant. For example, salary is not good, education is not good, health facility is not good, you're not getting married. Like, all those aspects come under social and economic reasons. But government is killing me. That is fear of persecution. Now, these migrants can be divided into two ways. One is legal migrant, another one is illegal migrants. Now, when I say legal migrant, who have taken permission and they have entered into the country. Illegal is who have not taken permission and they have not entered into the country. Fine. So, legal migrant, illegal migrant. The one who has entered into the country without taking permission is illegal migrant. Now, guys, let us say Tibetan people have come from China. Now, if India sends them back to Tibet, there is a fear that they will be killed in Tibet. Fine. So, we are scared. So, we should not send them back. Whereas, let us say there is a Sri Lankan Tamil, and today in Sri Lanka, government is not killing any individuals. Now, India will send back Sri Lankan Tamils, then there is no problem because at that time they came as refugees. Now you can send them back. But what is the meaning of this illegal migrants? For example, many Bengali people from Bangladesh enters into India, right? So now from where did they come? Bangladesh. India caught them and sent them back to Bangladesh. When India will send them back to Bangladesh, Bangladesh will not kill them. So if anyone is a refugee, you see here, refugee, do not, if anyone is a illegal migrant, you can send. Now let us talk about the issue is, if this is your northeast India and this is Myanmar, Burma. In this region, you will have Rakhine state where Rohingyas are present. Now, Rohingyas are Muslims. Burma is dominated by Buddhists. Now, Buddhists are attacking the Muslims. These Muslims have entered into Bangladesh. They have also entered into India. Now, what Bangladesh has done? Bangladesh has separated all these Rohingyas and they have identified a new island and they have put all of these people into this new island. Fine. So that means there are some islands where no one is present. Bangladesh has put all these people in that island, and in that island there is no proper water facility, food facility, sanitation, nothing is actually there. So they have put everyone into that island. Now India used to call these Rohingyas as refugees before. So when they call them as refugees, the meaning of this is Rohingyas killed by killed by Myanmar government. This is what we try to tell. Now, India always used to call Rohingyas as refugees, which means that Rohingyas are killed by Myanmar government. Now, whenever India used to say this, Myanmar was not happy, and what Myanmar was doing, if you see in India, you will have Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram region. Now, Nagas and Manipuris normally are present in Myanmar, and these groups like NSCN, and there are some groups like NSCN. Now, these groups are given protection by Buddhists. They are given weapons, they are given training, and they will. Now, let us say an Indian army is going like this. Now, these people will come, attack them, and go back. They will come, attack them, and go back. So, what is happening here? India is supporting Rohingyas. Burma or Myanmar is supporting Nagas, Kukis, etc. So now India questioned Myanmar, why are you supporting Nagas, Kukis and all? Myanmar says, India, why are you supporting Rohingyas? Now the present BJP government in 2014 told that Rohingyas are not refugees. They are illegal migrants. So India stopped supporting Rohingyas. At that point of time, Myanmar stopped supporting Nagas, Kukis and all. So now what happened in 2014, Naga group, Naga group, Manipuri group were present here. Indian army was attacked, bombarded here. So what happened? Indian army started entering into Myanmar and started killing these people. And Myanmar army, if I say Myanmar army, they were quiet. they did not come and protect Manipuri groups. India was given permission to enter and hit them. So, Myanmar did not support these groups. India did not support Rohingyas. Now you think the other way. Now, if India starts supporting Rohingyas, Myanmar will start supporting Nagas, Kukis, and all. So, it is very difficult for Indian government to decide whether we should support Rohingyas or not. So, what Indian government has done? Mostly, Indian government is not supporting Rohingyas openly, but Indian government is actually trying to protect Rohingyas by not sending people back. Most of the illegal migrants or refugees coming from Myanmar are not sent back, but India calls them as illegal migrants. And India is doing this because we know that if we don't do, we will be in trouble. So, in India's self interest, it is very, very essential for us to not support Rohingyas. So, guys, when you have a diplomat, his argument will be different. When it is a human rights, can you see here? You have a diplomat country. You have a human rights group. So, human rights group always say that protect Rohingyas, whereas the diplomats will argue that India is more important. So, this issue will go on. So, the next issue is not so important. You can leave. Now, guys, proxy war of terrorism will be defeated. Union Home Minister has spoken about certain people entering into India. Not so important. No decision yet on polls, Farooq. Yes, let them take a decision, then it becomes important. Schedule to elect Congress chief, not important. Citing border pacts, China objects to Indo-US bills. You see, guys. Now, India and China near Ladakh are supported by line of actual control. And guys, India and China has agreements in 1993 and 1996. According to this, neither side is allowed to conduct a military exercise against the other near to line of actual control. It clearly says you should not go for any sort of military exercise. But recently, China conducted military exercises near line of actual control. And India said, according to this agreement, what you are doing is wrong. And now, as China violated it, India, along with US, is organizing a military exercise called as Yudh Abhyas. Remember, India and US naval exercise is called as Malabar. India and US military exercise is called as Yudh Abhyas. Fine. Yudh Abhyas is in between India and US, and they want to do it in Uttarakhand, which is less than 100 kilometers from line of actual control. So, China is telling, according to this, India and US should not conduct any military exercise. So India is telling on the same thing when we questioned, you did not answer. Now why are you questioning us? Yudh Abhyas, I want you to have in the notes, Yudh Abhyas, military exercise. Fine. Second thing I want you to have is Malabar, naval exercise. And then guys, this paragraph which I have underlined is important for you. Next, US journalist deported from Delhi airport, not required. Modi's security breach, Supreme Court panel blames Ferozpur SSP. Officer did not discharge duty to maintain law and order. So, you might have heard Prime Minister Modi visited Punjab, and when he visited, farmers were protesting. And normally, when a convoy of Prime Minister moves, nothing must be there. It is a security concern. Not only for this Prime Minister, for any Prime Minister, those things are important. See, guys, it you may think farmers are there and all, but along with farmers, some other people who hate India or terrorists who hate India may actually utilize that opportunity and attack. So that's where it is very, very important for us to look into the issue and protect them. So, Supreme Court has criticized, so not so important. Government limits wheat flour export to curb price rise. See, guys, actually, India is one of the largest country in the world today which produces wheat a lot, and this started after Green Revolution, guys. And in most of the European countries, there is extremely high temperature. As there is very very high temperature, there is hot winds blowing. As there is hot winds, the crops are hitting against each other, and as the crops hit against each other, we observe forest fires. So forest fires are very very common in what we call as European countries nowadays. Now if I look at that, as most of the crops are lost due to forest fire, the wheat availability in the world has reduced. And as the wheat availability has reduced, Indian government is thinking not to export, because if we start exporting, then India might not have sufficient wheat availability. Remember earlier we used to export, and whenever there is shortage we used to get it back. But now there is a fear that there won't be supply back. Guys, some issues if you understand, that's more than enough. Rather than seeing something else. Fine. Supreme Court to review PMLA order on two aspects. See, guys, I'm trying to tell you, it is trying to review, means not yet done, so not required. BJP not required, Congress not required, political party news not required, Supreme Court adjourns not required. See, so quickly you can read off. The point is editorial, you should know which one to read and which one not to read, guys. Labor courts empower workers, PM. Guys, in 2020, Modi government had actually passed four labor codes with respect to wages, social security, industrial relations, health and other things. And different people have met to discuss about these codes, because government don't want again any problem in its implementation. Second most important thing in this is, most of this is available for companies which are having people more than 300. So the meaning of this is, see guys, under labor laws, lot of benefits are there for the laborers. Definitely there is no doubt. But there is a threshold kept that only till 300 people, sorry, if laborers in a company is less than 300, all these rules doesn't apply. If they are more than 300, rules apply. Now the point is, permanent members are 290, non-permanent members are 800. So what will happen? the company can escape from the labor codes. This is the biggest issue that the labor codes and all are actually mentioning. And whenever anyone wants to protest, 6 weeks right before and 6 weeks after the judgment, you should not do any sort of protest. So there are certain things which the laborers are opposed to. But let us wait and watch. Nothing to look into it, don't worry. NIA arrests two accused, not required. More options for youth now, not required. My statements twisted, not required. Aircraft carrier Vikrant to be commissioned. So what is Vikrant? That is very, very important. Indigenously built Vikrant. Fine. So it is very, very essential to know. Indigenously built means within the country it is built and it's an aircraft carrier. Fine. Now guys, remember India and Bangladesh has almost years, but there is agreement only on Ganga River. And now there is a problem on Tista River. Remember, Tista River originates in Sikkim, passes through West Bengal, and enters into Bangladesh. Now there is a joint committee to look into this issue where central government has appointed few people, Bangladesh has appointed few people, and both are talking about how to resolve the issue in a better manner. So India Bangladesh relations, you can just make a separate note and say that there is joint river commission. I'll repeat, there is joint river commission, joint river commission to deal about rivers which pass between India and Bangladesh. Some of them are Ganga, Tista, Manu, Muri, Kovati, Gomti, Gumti, Karla, Dud Kumar, Kushyara. All these come into picture. See guys, every month there will be some analysis of the performance, not required. Analysis given by some companies, not required. A bank, something, not required. China faces job crunch, not required. DOT eases telecom infra norms to boost networks. Remember guys, in India today, we have 5G services coming out, but most of the infrastructure in India is not in a position to handle 5G because the speed, the network and all, the existing system is not capable of handling it. So we need to increase it. So to increase it, we have changed Indian Telegraph Right of Way Amendment Rules 2022 will ensure speedy rollout of technology and make the dream of 5G enabled India come true. Fine. So yes, it's just that the mobiles, the networks, the transponders, the receivers, they all have to work properly. This is what they're trying to tell. IOC to spend 2 lakh crore for net zero emission. Guys, Indian Oil Corporation, it is involved in extraction of oil and natural gas. And remember, whenever you extract oil and natural gas, you will use lot of what we call as electricity. You will also go for some energy loss, and gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, everything is released into the environment. Now, IOC is trying to say that we will spend 2 lakh crore to achieve net operational carbon emissions. What is the meaning of this, guys? Now, Delhi airport has net zero emissions. The meaning of this is how much, how much, uh, like emissions they do. Let us say aeroplanes, vehicles, all those they emit emissions, and there are plants and all which absorb these. So there are emissions as well, there are absorptions as well. And when we look at these two, they are almost same. That is, emissions and absorptions are almost same. So that there is no excessive emissions coming out from Delhi airport. Now, in Bhutan, guys, the vehicles are less, pollution is less. So whatever Bhutan emits is less, and there are so many plants that Bhutan absorbs more. So net emissions are less, net absorptions are more. That is what they are trying to tell with Bhutan. So it is called as carbon negative country. Now they want to make it carbon neutral country. What is the meaning of carbon neutral? That means emissions and absorptions are same. And they are not talking about vehicular pollution and all, and they are talking about operational carbon emissions. The meaning of this is for extracting oil. For example, now I want to take water from a tank and send it to the I have a tank below and I have a tank above. Now I'll take water from the sump and then send it to the tank. Now, when this process happens, I need electricity, correct? So, now that electricity is produced through what we call as burning of carbon dioxide. IOC is saying that now we want electricity to extract oil and natural gas, and this electricity we will try to get it from solar energy and other renewable energy sectors, right? So that emissions will be less. This is what they are trying to tell. You can talk about this under climate changes, measures taken by the government to reduce climate change impact. A Spark court not required. India's vote to allow Zelensky's speech was not against Russia. See, guys, recently what has happened? Ukrainian president wanted to talk in United Nations, and people asked whether we should allow or not. Russia said don't allow, whereas many countries said please allow them. India also has agreed to allow, right? India has also agreed that we should allow him. So people are asking, are you voting against Russia? India is telling no, nothing much, don't worry about it, guys. So yes, after this you have sports news, which is not so important. So only these issues were important in this or in today's newspapers. So don't worry, rest all is not so important. Guys, we are starting a new batch quickly. So whoever is interested can join for both UPSC and KPSC. Thank you, guys. Thank you all.